Hi everyone, welcome to Home Sweet Homebrew, where Jurian and I, Aria, have conversations about D&D in front of people.
Yeah, in front of just a live audience. Just everyone clap. Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I guarantee everyone who actually clapped, I love you genuinely from the bottom of my heart. I love you.
We have good feelings.
Um, yeah, today we actually wanted to talk about the undead and the setting of your campaign and like all the fun things that are involved with that, because that is Jurian's favorite type of creature next to Fae.
Just absolutely. Just we talked about first episode was talking about gods, and at some point we mentioned death. Now let's just get into when stuff doesn't go right. That's just my favorite thing about D&D. When it doesn't go the way that you thought you wanted, and then suddenly you're eating flesh in a cemetery.
And suddenly
Just
Dawn doesn't have a heart anymore.
oh shit. You're slowly becoming a ghoul. The
No,
plot is thickening.
it's funny because my character is actually currently undead.
Oh no. We're in hell, which close.
We are in hell.
But yeah, basically, so for people who don't know, in a lot of settings, D&D specifically, undeads are a result of either dark magic or rituals, or just very unfortunate events. For example, ghosts exist because like they haven't moved on to the afterlife and they have something to cling on to, or in D&D, there's actually a lot of things like that. Some creatures, like something called a slaymate, which is a hunted creature that looks like a child. And the reason they become this creature is from like negligence and like a caretaker's betrayal, basically. And suddenly they're just like
Fucking
another
hell.
creature. I love the Slaymate. It also has like an aura that makes spellcasting better. It's a lot of undead creatures, and they all have like different diets. Like certain books like really go in depth with what undeads are, which
I
is what
actually didn't know
I
that.
love. Oh yeah, I mean banshees are one of the most common ones, and in D&D
That's
universe,
classic.
they're elves, usually female elves who fell into vanity and then die being wanting to be beautiful, and so they're reborn as these horrendous wailing creatures who cause that everywhere they go.
Fail a saving throw TPK, the classic.
We'll act as if Meteor's Heart didn't have that. By the way, for everyone who didn't watch our first episode, Introduction Meteor's Heart is our current ongoing campaign. I'm the DM, or the player.
Yeah, year and a half-ish.
Yep, it's been going for a while.
Later on, I'm actually going to mention, because my character, my rogue warlock Dawn, is actually currently pseudo. She's the. Long story short, she died, and her patron, who is very evil, stole her heart when she got revivified, and now she's the Phantom UA subclass.
Oops.
Oops. And now
we love,
we're currently in hell after making a deal with the Raven Queen to get her out of her warlock pact with her patron that may or not involve her jumping into hell and dying. You know,
a lot of death-related things around Dawn. Are you the death card in tarot? But also we just shout out to Dawn's patron, Hellstar Ramina. For anyone who catches that reference, congratulations. It's basically that. But yeah,
Siphon.
But yeah, undead. Also, yeah, for real, undeath is not only as something like a zombie. I mean, vampires are undead, but like they're clearly more than just a shambling corpse. And some creatures are actually just kind of half undead, I guess.
Imagine how lame Curse of Strahd would be if he was just a zombie.
If he was, I thought you were gonna say if he was just a dude, just like a dude with no powers. Like I am a terrible vampire. I have never played
Curse
Curse of
named
Strahd.
Strahd. It's just a guy in a polo shirt and khakis who lives down the street.
It's just a zombie just like wandering about. Oh god. It's a zombie wearing an Hawaiian shirt, just going like, welcome to my land.
I'm pretty sure that's actually a character in Plants vs Zombies. But getting back on topic, you can, as a druid, you can use your plants to fight zombies.
Oh my god. This nice timely
Are there
reference to this video
are there
game.
actually Jurian, are there now I'm curious, are there like plant undead? Is that a thing?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I know there's. I've seen people create stuff similar like that, like a corpse flower.
What?
Yeah, it's like a. I believe a flower that like feeds on corpses. It's like, ugh. I don't think there's a lot of like plant creatures because I believe undeads are usually like living creatures turned undead. I don't like for some reason I don't think plants are involved in that, but who knows? If anyone wants to prove me wrong, please. I want to be proven wrong because plant undead creatures would be absolutely awesome. But yeah, like also undead creatures, like there's so many. Another one of my favorite undead creature is called the Quell, and it's I believe it's from a book called the Libris Mortis for 3.5. And it's basically an undead creature that wants to commit duicide, if I'm not mistaken about the name, basically killing gods. And so their influence upon the world is that they sever the connection between cleric and their gods. So you can't cast spells of a certain level, obviously, because they're not that strong while they're around you. And yeah, and the reason that they became quells is specifically because in their lives they just hated gods, and so like in their undeath they just want to for real kill them still, but now they just have infinite time to do it. Any successful finds?
Shambling mounds almost, but
yeah, I mean, I guess you could do pretty easily like any plant creatures as undead just by giving them like a weird reflavored appearance.
I mean,
just like, oh no, it's a
I was
withered
wondering
flower.
if they were just like any naturally.
Yeah,
that actually sounds it'd be like you have a druid or whatever, and their home, or like a ranger even, it's just like their home and their domain has been taken over by undeath, where the very forest itself dies and comes back.
You're giving me ideas.
Oh no.
Oh no. The DM has now gained inspiration. And it is now very terrifying because every single forest you enter might be undead.
Oh shit. I'll keep that in mind when we're in hell.
All the woods. Beautiful hell. But yeah, so undead have a lot of, so just to spin that subject a bit more than just talking about the creatures I love, talking about setting wise.
Okay.
Undeads actually have a pretty important, to me, place in a setting, not by their presence itself, but how are they viewed? Like, for example, like I think my main question for anything, like when you make a setting for D&D or other games, is how is necromancy viewed? Because a lot of people like, oh yeah, but like if you animate dead, people will obviously think you're evil. And then it's like, okay, but like why? Is it because people think that like undead creatures are in there like just evil by standards, like just by default? Or is it because necromancy is actually like a forgotten art that not a lot of people use and stuff? Because like necromancy is just a form of magic, if anything. It's the same level as evocation, but for some reason, like your DM will just by default be like, it's evil. You're evil if you use it.
I mean, undead are pretty evil by default, right?
Yeah, usually, I believe no undead is above neutral, except for maybe there's one or something, but not by, because it's evil energy that's animating them. So that's why I'm guessing, like in the setting, just Forgotten Realm, undeads are not good. They're usually like vampires, I believe, are lawful evil. Usually they're neutral to chaotic evil, meaning that they don't care about people, don't follow codes, and kill what they want, need to feed. Okay. So zombies will be chaotic evil. Skeletons the same. They just hate life as well. So they're just like they're just forces that want to kill. They're basically like similar to demons in that they're kind of just things that kill. I mean, obviously, the difference is that vampires and stuff are smart. Like most undead don't really have that much of a mind.
I mean, their brains rotting.
Yeah, same. Maybe I might be undead. Oh no, a cleric is turning me. But yeah, just like sometimes I almost wish I make a setting where necromancy in general is much more accepted and like it's just viewed as like a different form of like the opposite between like revivify and animate dead. It's just that it depends on what your preference is.
You are enabling my wife so hard. She's been wanting to do a necromancer character for so long. She's had a test build.
Listen here, if I've allowed her to play a homebrew gunslinger class that literally wrecked my entire campaign apart, I can allow a necromancer. I will enable this very late surgeon.
So one of my favorite things about Undeath is that pretty much nothing is immune to it. It doesn't matter who you are, what you are, where you're from, how you're from. Undeath is just a part of the cycle in D&D that can happen. For example, in a tropal, even the gods are not immune to it. Do you know what an atropal is?
Yeah, no, but please enlighten me.
So, atropals are a stillborn god. Basically, they're unfinished immortals modeled after the gods who became undead because they're pretty much mini gods. They're like little godlings, and they rise as undead. They're nasty motherfuckers. They have all the powers of a god, pretty much. They're a little baby god, and they're undeath and awful, and it's an affront against nature. Like, all the gods know of one when it shows up because it's like part of like the godly structure, but it's just awful. And that's one of the few times, like, it's actually interesting, and I think this is Forgotten Realms. And a tropal showed up, or there's one drifting, and I think the negative energy plane, and a lich found it and brought it to the Tomb of the Nine Gods and like nourished it back to bring it to full godhood as undeath, and like with him controlling it as a lich, and it caused like the death curse.
I cannot believe that in how much I've read and how interested I am in like the undead aspect of D&D, I've literally never even heard about
Atropals are so fucking metal.
Are you kidding me? Like, I can't believe do you know how much I would have included in Meteor's Heart if it was a thing I knew?
You still can.
Oh my... Oh, absolutely. Forget I said that. Act as if I always knew. No, oh my god, for real? Because when you said when you started that sentence, being
I could hear you salivating.
Undead can affect anything. I was like, oh, probably. Like, I was about to come in like, oh yeah, because like even elves with the benchy and everything, and then you just went like even gods, and I was like, what?
What?
Wait, sorry, can you... I need to rewind. I think I spaced out for a second, for a hot minute.
It's just like nature fucks up. A god but, like, is stillborn, and they just fuck around and like drift in the astral sea or elemental chaos or whatever the fuck.
But like the question is like, are they like still like babies? Kind of like...
they're awful. They have like... They're like fleshy, malformed, massive heads, umbilical cord. Like, they're horrific motherfuckers.
They're basically Bloodborne incarnate.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Fine, I'll link you a picture.
Please. You know what? Note to myself right now. Put the picture up now.
Oh,
if it's inappropriate, put a picture of a cute puppy. I'm really bullying myself.
You're bullying. I just sent it to you if you wanna.
Yeah. Oh my god. Let me just check.
So they're horrific motherfuckers.
Oh my God. Ooh, I will put a warning up before.
Yeah, please do.
I will. It is. Oh, listen here. So me and Charlotte are going to the nice night. Can you babysit our child? Oh yeah, of course. What's his name? Oh, his name is. He's the stillborn god of chaos and death and all the things bad. Just make sure he's in bed by 8. That thing is gross.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely in love with the fact that I now know about this creature. Does it have a stat block?
Oh yeah.
Heck yeah.
It's like CR like 18.
Oh, that's actually not that bad.
Yeah, it's not like that bad. But
Right,
you can bump it up on.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course.
Oh no, its armor class is 18.
Oh,
That's very different. Hold on. Where is it? 30 CR 30.
Yeah, okay. It's
That's a little stronger.
it's the biggest CR you can have. It's the hardest creature you can beat in the game.
Yeah, he's
basically.
CR 30. Yeah,
I believe there's nothing is above.
It's an undead baby god.
I cannot believe when we started this recording, I did not think we'd go to stillborn baby gods, but I'm very happy with this direction.
You're welcome.
Because imagine, are they like rare?
They're a stillborn god that can only be found in the astral sea. They can only show up when nature itself makes a big ass mistake.
Yeah, damn. Yeah.
Because we talked about in the first episode how gods come to be as part of nature itself. That
because it's like people.
It's just like they exist as like a law of the universe. It's when that very cycle fucks up.
Mm-hmm. Also, you know what? So that's a god, like a stillborn and everything. Can gods that are like, grew up, I guess, normal, can they become undead?
That sounds like a very interesting story plot.
Yeah, oh my god. That's actually obviously, I doubt it, because you'd have to contract some kind of undead, I think gods are immune to vampirism.
I mean, I think what you could do is you could have a character that tries to kill a god, and then before, like, the next one pops up and nature kicks in, you try and revive them undead under your control. And that's your BBEG.
Also, just quick setting idea that I just had because of this whole discussion. Imagine a world, all gods die because of some terrible cataclysm. And then the only god left to the world is, how do you say, a thruple?
A tropal.
A troop, the baby, baby. Undead baby is the only god left in the world. And then you create a mission about that.
I mean, that's interesting. Actually, I have a setting idea then. Give me one more stall for time for me.
Oh, of course. I'll just talk about different things. I was talking about necromancers and everything before. Oh, yes. In terms of creatures, I think there's actually an undead illithid, like the mind flayers.
Yeah.
There's even an undead beholder.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, they're so cool. The beholder
they're
liches.
So cool. Yeah, I don't remember their names. A death tyrant, I think.
Yeah, death tyrants.
It's just like, imagine, just truly nothing is immune to. And I don't know how they create it, actually, though.
It's a beholder that becomes a lich.
Oh, yes! Also, you know what? I know how I'll stall for time. I actually talk about something I want to talk about.
Okay.
Liches.
Okay.
So, according to videos and resources everywhere, apparently, the lich transformation is very vague. It's left up to interpretation, but the basics of it is that it requires a very powerful spellcaster, wizard, apparently. Even though I would love to see other spellcasters becoming liches. You need to do a lot of sacrifices. A pact, basically you have to do pacts with demons and devils and everything to obtain the ritual, the recipe, I guess. You have to create a phylactery. And then you have to die. And that's when you become a lich. That's now connected forever to this phylactery. Mm. And now your soul is outside your body. And it's just in that place. And then every time you die, you revive. But it always made me a bit curious that, like, what if you tossed the power requirement? Like, imagine a level 1 lich. How weak. It's just like, haha, I have immense power. Attack.
They can't die.
Yeah, that's very strong. What happens basically is that if you die as a lich, you revive after a few days back to where your phylactery is, so that's why you protect it. Which also, everyone always creates phylacteries as like, it's like always hidden very, like, I would put the phylactery in a different plane. I would put my phylactery in like a place where no one could ever find it, and I would be the only one who could. I would hide it inside of a Tarask if I needed. I can just teleport outside the Tarask anyway afterwards. So, as long as it doesn't get digested.
I guess so, yeah. Alright, so you successfully stalled for me.
Thank you. No problem, I mean.
So, there is a far realm corrupted planet called Atropos. And it is basically a planet where the life force of the planet itself became undead. It's an undead primordial.
I think I've heard about it before.
Yeah, I guarantee to talk to you about it when I was talking about
my brother,
Dawn's patron.
I think my brother talked to me about like, oh yeah, there's just like enemy that's like a planet.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
So basically, it's a massive planet completely comprised of undead. It just exists from it. Fun fact, its name of Atropos, it's like the idea of it is it's the first Atropal, and it just like became part of a planet. And this thing makes Atropals. Like there and then are cast off.
Because it's like it's a womb.
Yeah, it's just a massive fucking planet. And it's really interesting. So you can have a campaign setting where the gods die because the planet itself actually, when it gets closer and closer to something, it like starts affecting places. Mm-hmm. Like the process of life and healing gets weaker and weaker as it gets closer and closer. And it's it does some nasty shit. Like the undead just start rising naturally, and like it's really cool. And also the idea of it being just like one of the primordials and just like an abomination to nature itself, and how it just pumps out fucked up gods.
Yeah, also the word primordial. I love that.
It's so good.
Everything that's called a primordial is just like, yes. Especially undead primordial. Imagine being the origin of undead, or like
that's pretty much what it is.
The strongest form of undeath.
Yeah.
In the universe, you call the primordial of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's the concept of undeath, pretty much.
Basically, in planet form.
Fun fact. The history of like D&D's canon, quote unquote, it actually fucked up a planet that the Mind Flayers had, and just absolutely annihilated it. And it's currently like fairly close to Farron. And it's like
is that the Forgotten Realm?
Yeah, I think so.
You know what? I feel like the more and more we'll talk, the more and more people will realize that I'm an idiot that doesn't know almost anything about the Forgotten Realms as a setting.
To be fair, I'm in constant fear that like in the middle of the podcast or whatever, I'll just start spewing blatantly wrong bullshit for like 20 minutes, and then someone is going to leave like a 15-page like thesis in the comments.
You know what excuse I have for them? We're just creating Homebrew. Listen here, but like for real, like the most experience I have with this whole setting is I read Dritzdward in like book 1 to like 8, and that's it. There's like 14 books. I'll never finish them. But yeah, like So like I feel like you having knowledge about Forbidden Realms and basically teaching me is making this so interesting.
It's really, really interesting that it's just like the concept of like a world that was born dead is just like this massive atropal, and it's just
Yeah. Also, just
cool. The Elder Evils are all just so great. I love the Far Realm. We need to do an episode on the Far Realm. It is my favorite part of D&D's like settings and worlds. It's
lead me to your field of interest, and I will follow.
Love that shit.
But yeah, just a little. Also, just the presence of undead in general. Just popping in my head right now. There's literally several gods and certain clerics, grave clerics, thank you, that are specifically dedicated to taking care of them.
Yeah.
How common are the undead in the Forgotten Realms setting that there's so much things that are against them?
I mean, enough to where they're a problem, and I would suspect if there's a lot against them, you could add to your campaign's history saying that, yeah, there was a period where undead were a big problem, so now there are a lot of measures in place, so they're not as common as they were. But, like, now, they're, like, but they used to be, because there were a bunch of them. Like, say that, like, a lich came into power or something that happened in the history, and you run a campaign setting where that like happened, and then maybe you make that part of the story of just like, oh shit, round 2.
Yeah, because once I did create a setting. It was called the Red Road. It didn't go on for very long. I believe it had like less than 10 sessions. Where it was basically the whole objective of that was that at the beginning the players had to go through the road to get to like a certain city because they were like on a mission for something. But that specific country was known that like at the east of it specifically more, but like in general for the whole country, it was a very undead heavy place because of just the influence of the energies or whatever reason I came up at that time. And so like the first battle they had and like most of the battles they had were a lot of like undead creatures and or people who were helping like necromancer and such. Like cultists. I believe there was a whole thing about like cultists and werewolves. It was like a very Halloween themed campaign, basically. But like yeah, so basically like, there would be a place, and the group had a paladin that was like obviously really wanted to go there to just bring some justice, just some Garen style
Paladin
justice.
Shit.
Yeah. Just like really just smite all of them, which in 3.5 rules just absolutely meant they were getting obliterated by this paladin, because the second he would hit them, they'd get like triple damage or something like that. So yeah, but yeah, like just there's gods that are specifically like, hey, if you're my servant, take care of undead, please, because they're just like a huge problem.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, like are they? You know, actually, I'll save this question for after the break.
Oh.
Because we're approaching the 30-minute mark.
Oh boy! All right.
Ooh.
So we will take that tiny little break, and we'll all get back to you with the talk of Undead, because I have some things I want to talk about now. I've been given ideas.
Yes. Stop tracing that ritualistic circle.
You can't stop me. You can't stop me, Jurian. It's already over.
Welcome back to the podcast.
Hello.
The ritual went wrong.
So, funny story. During the break, after I did my little summoning there, I now accidentally gave myself a really cool idea for a campaign setting. And now I'm making a D&D campaign.
We've officially gone too far.
Yeah, no.
This is necromancy. I know why it's banned now.
Shit. That's why necromancy's banned. It'll take away all your free time.
Yeah, it'll take away your life.
Oh shit, you're right.
Yeah, oh my, literally.
Does necromancy take away your life, or does necromancy give life to shit that didn't have it?
Would you consider undeath to be life? That depends on your setting, I guess.
It's a kind of life.
Yeah, because like it's like a half-life.
2.
Oh Three's never coming out. I've never played any of them. But that's, I guess that's a very important question, like about like if undead is good or not. It's
I
how
don't think
close to
it's
life it is.
good. I don't
Obviously
know.
it
I feel
isn't.
like most of the reasons that people like in these settings don't like the undead is entirely because of the ethics of it.
And also, I think it's just because someone they're not themselves. They just get basically a new mind. They're like someone completely different. I refuse to
Yeah,
believe that like,
it's
Strahd is just like the same as he was when he was a young chap.
yeah, it's just well, it's also just like it's an insult to the memory of the person that died to have them brought back as just like a thrall, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's
It's
just
just it's not ethical.
yeah. So I had a question. I
I
was
might
talking.
have answers.
I sure hope so. We can make some up. I was talking about gods and clerics and everything being like, kill these undeads, like they're not good. And I was talking about how much of a problem, like, how much of a problem are they in the Forgotten Realms? But like, where do they come from? Like, are they like created? Like, are they like most zombies and skeletons? I said like probably like wizards creating them and everything, but like actually, where do they come from? Because I don't know how many zombies are in this world.
Are you
How
asking
many?
like where do they come from naturally or like
Both, because like
who
if
figured it out or
the thing, no, I guess the thing is like I guess where they come from, like their origin, but also if there's such like a gigantic problem to just like, oh no, the script has undead, is it always like wizards just summoning them, or is it just like a curse over the world that just like sometimes there's undead?
the way I think about it is of course necromancers are a thing, but I feel like depending on uh it depends a lot on the weave actually in my idea. So if there's a lot of stress on the weave in a specific area, there's like a lot of magic use or a lot of like chaotic magic use. The weave itself can experience some of that chaos and is like less held together. And because of that, it can just throw magic into different things unintentionally, thus maybe raising undead or something, or like causing like trents in trees and shit, right? Or like
Yeah.
living terrain. If you want like a setting that like has like undead naturally existing, I think that's a good way to do it. Just like a place that's been affected by powerful magic. Just having undead show up because like
Though
the
he was just
weave's
making
fucked
something
up
bad.
or like there's residual magic presence or etc etc.
Also, you just kind of like answered a question from earlier. I guess undead plants don't exist because there's already magic that gives plants life. So why would they need to be undeath
I
if they're
don't
just
know.
like, I guess because like
Cool.
because a trans, yeah, of course, absolutely rad, tubular.
Like an undead like Trent just sounds cool as hell.
Absolutely, but I think that's one of the reasons why there aren't like in the like base material is because giving them life is already kind of like artificial life. They don't really have a
Mm.
soul, I believe. I don't think they do, at least. They're kind of just like animated objects with some purpose.
It's like an like awakened bush or something. Doesn't have like a soul
I
or
don't
like
think it
when
does.
huh.
I think it's just because like the only plant creatures that you would say like are negative and everything, they're like the twig creatures, like the needle. I wish I remember the name of this creature, but no to editor may put up those creatures. They are kind of just animated evil plant creatures. So they have life. It's just like a life that's like, ooh, I mean the wood broad, I think, like there's already like evil plant creatures, I guess, are the equivalent of undead
Yeah.
in that setting.
Yeah, I guess so.
Hmm.
You take like I think there's a cool idea that when you can combine nature and undead where you get some really cool results
Absolutely.
where like a shambling mound for example, like throw like some corpses in there and shit, like make it like partly undead. It's just like that's cool. That's so fucking cool.
The most evil driftwood. Actually, you know what? I'll give credit, by the way, to Wizard of the Coast. They've been coming up with a lot of different things, because there actually was a long time ago like a prestige class, basically like an advanced special class for druids to become this like evil life-sucking druid. But like Wizard of the Coast in 5e has been like giving a lot of classes like new stuff. Like for example, the druid, no, I believe Twilight Druid or something. Like there's one that like actually has spore druid. It's like it has to do with undead, which is like so rare to see, because it's like usually they're like always like the lifesavers and the protectors of nature. But now it's like, I'll animate a corpse. I'm not above that. But it's just like,
I don't know. I feel like
it's
recently I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Oh, just mentioning like usually it's always wizards, but I think it should be a lot of other stuff. Like I want to see a lot more clerics, because it's always
Class
been possible.
Inclusivity.
You know what? We need diversity for our evil, our evil classes.
You're not wrong.
Wizards are always just the bad guys. Why is it always wizards?
Because they have to put in so much effort to gain magic because they're nerds. Have you ever met a nerd that isn't angry?
So, wait, just a second, I'll look at the mirror. No, sorry.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Damn it.
No, I think it's cool that Wizards of the Coast has actually added a bunch of, like, undead options recently in Unearthed Arcana, too. Like, it's got, like, a whole, like, darker kind of, like, undead, like, evil kind of vibe. Like, they have, like, Phantom Rogue, which I love and am playing. Oh my gosh, it's so cool. The way that it like affects sneak attack is so neat.
Yeah. There's only just a few nerfs. Just a few nerfs in that class would be, I absolutely want it officially in a book. Which I believe it's actually going to be the new one.
I hope so. There's also there's another like undead style rogue class.
The Revived.
Yeah, Revived.
Which weirdly enough, I feel like Phantom and Revive, like I don't know which one came first, but I believe like probably
Revive did.
I think Phantom might have been inspired by Revive, because
obviously it's like different than Revived. It's
but like, it has some similar abilities. So
Soul
I think
Knife,
Revive,
that was the other one. Soul Knife was the other one.
That's a Psionic.
They came out with recently. Yeah, that's
but
the other one I can't remember.
What I think basically is I think Revived inspired Phantom, and so I don't think Revive's going to come out officially, because like some of the abilities are very similar, and the basic like speech, like the description of what that subclass is very similar. Basically like you've experienced death before and now you communicate with the world of spirits kind of feeling for a rogue, which already is a thing. Like I mean like between the two.
Yeah. I don't know, I think it's really neat.
Absolutely. I think it's I mean, the one thing I'd say that's a little sad is that Phantom subclass, because it has to do with death and everything, if you want to really make it work as a character who like goes into that as their first subclass compared to like
you gotta die.
Yeah, it's like, can you like really die and revive before level 3 as a rogue in a campaign? I mean,
you can have your character be dead off the bat.
For sure.
And come back just like through magical means or whatever, through unexplained means, and that's why they're on the adventure. Like, why the fuck am I alive?
Yeah, I shouldn't be alive.
Actually, that is the entire concept. That's the entire concept of my sorcerer rogue that I made a while ago for a campaign that never finished.
Oh damn!
That that's why she's a sorcerer.
Because she died.
Yeah, because she died and she came back and suddenly she had the magical abilities.
What
that's
subclass
like why
was
she
she?
went in her class. I actually don't remember. I think she's Arcane Trickster.
Oh, that would have been subclass then.
Yeah, well, this is before Phantom was a thing.
Yeah, of course. But basically, like you were just rogue but had magic.
Yeah, well, I was rogue, multi-class into sorcerer with Arcane Trickster.
Oh, okay, perfect. Nice. Yeah. But yeah, just wow, I forgot what I was saying.
Death coming from other places. Like undead coming from other places.
Oh, you know what I want to see?
Tell me what you want to see.
Devils and demon undead.
Oh, that'd be cool. Well, it's kind of hard to do for demons because they just kind of appear out of chaos and don't ever really die. They just kind of go back to where they were.
Actually, you know what? Actually, we talked about like everything being affected by undead. I think the only exception would be like truly fey creatures and like fiends, because like the equivalent for fays is Shadowfell, like the shadow phase.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess that's the equivalent of like negative energy seeping into their lives and like they become like darker versions of themselves.
Yeah, because like when a fae dies outside the Feywild, they just go back to the Feywild, right?
I don't know if that applies to them. I think it's only elementals and fiends. I don't know. We need to research. We need someone on the
that's
side
important.
That just,
You have a fae in your D&D game and you don't know this.
He wasn't a friend until recently.
He's been a fae the whole time.
Yes, you know when you come up. I sure hope it doesn't happen this way, because otherwise, oops! Imagine every time he dies, just like, foop, go find him.
Well, he hasn't really died yet.
Yes, he has.
Yeah, no, he died. He died with Dawn, but he didn't like die.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
he was still in like the revivify zone.
Well, usually, like for example, Celestials and stuff, like at 0 hit points, they like immediately disappear back to their original plane.
Well, that's because they're god nerds.
Well, or maybe they're just primordial. I've killed wind. Go back to your wind plane. It's like that kind of stuff. But like, yeah, phase. I don't think elementals have undead versions, but I think there's some kind of undead elemental. Maybe there's a corrupted versions, like a water
like
weird.
An elemental of like necrotic energy is what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't know if they're called elemental. I believe they would just be called undead, probably.
Yeah,
who knows? I love those still, but there are some like
elemental of necrotic energy actually sounds really cool.
I
guess that's kind of what shades are, aren't they?
Yeah. Like I believe, like I mean, if anything, ghosts are pretty close to that. But yeah,
yeah, it's different. Depends on if it's a ghost, like of a spirit, or if it's just like some ethereal fuckhead.
I mean, shades and everything. Like, they're obviously like undead type, but they're, I believe. I mean, it's just there's too much variation. Like anything from a zombie to a vampire to a spirit is like they're all undead just because the link they have is that they live through another mean.
I don't know. It's just like, yo, look at all these people classified as alive. Sons of bitches. Why there's so many?
Just imagine you with the monster manual just going through it and just going like, why are these bitches alive?
Explain to me why a turtle is a humanoid.
You know what? Absolutely.
It's only humanoid because it needs to get affected by shit like Revivify.
But meanwhile, they made the safety. Also, like truly everything. The fact that stuff like tieflings and Azamars aren't like humanoid fiends and humanoid celestials enrages me.
I know, and right?
They made like Satyr just like fully fey.
Yeah, no. I mean, it makes sense for tieflings because they're like cursed. They're not like fully like fiend or anything. They just have like infernal like as part of them. I wouldn't say they need just like
they need to make an equivalent of tieflings and Azamars, but undead, like a semi-dead kind of like race. I believe they actually did that.
Okay, sorry. What you said there for a moment was just so you want a necromancer to revive a tiefling.
No. It's like I believe they actually made something that's like it's like you basically take a certain trait. I think it's UA or from a specific book, which I don't know. Maybe because of Strahd, who knows? That you can take this at level like 1 when you create your character, and basically it makes it so your character is like this semi-undead energy touch character. It actually gives you stuff like you don't need to eat, drink, like you still need to like sleep for 4 hours like an elf and everything. But they need to make that an official. They need to make an official like equivalent to ASMR. They make the silent type.
Shout outs to Giuseppe. That's interesting. That's actually yeah. No, I actually like that a lot. I think
Yeah,
it'd be
because
cool.
there's actually a different setting. I haven't played the game, so I won't be able to say spoilers. So no worries. Pillars of Eternity is a video game. There's actually a second one. I there's like I need to play it. I just bought it, but there's these creatures called the Godlikes in that
Hmm.
universe, and they're just beings, and I believe they can be born from any race, but they're kind of like gut touched creatures that are linked to a certain thing. For example, there's like flame, nature, light, and death. There's death godlikes, and they're just like harbingers of doom, apparently, according to like fairy tales and rumors and everything. But
Hmm.
they have like stuff that covers their eyes. So like Lissandra from League of Legends, always have their eyes covers, but they somehow see through it. They're amazing. I want them in a setting of D&D because I think that would be a very interesting dynamic to have a character that's like, I don't think undeath is that bad because, if anything, I am one.
Nerd.
Listen here. I didn't come here to get bullied.
I just made a penis shape in Audacity, and I'm proud of myself.
Well,
Um, I think that that's cool though. I think that having a setting where like necromancy is just more normal. Like you have to have like a pretty interesting society for that. I think that that'd be interesting for like your average D&D party, like they're like out exploring like some like far away place and they just find like a community where that's just normal.
do
There's
you
nothing
want
to
me?
fight.
Oh,
There's no bad guy. There's no like, oh, we're all cursed. It's just like, yeah, they just have undead. That's just
yeah.
normal. And they see it
Well,
as like part of the cycle. It's just like, well, when you die, you get revived as undead and you help everyone. That's normal. It's like something to look forward to. I just described Amonkhet from Magic the Gathering.
I have sadly no idea what this is.
Whoops!
Whoops.
I
Also,
just
want me,
described the Eternals in Amonkhet. Whoop
want me,
fucking.
want me to just absolutely lay some knowledge upon you, some homebrew knowledge. Uh, there's a nice book. Absolutely recommended to everyone, every DM ever who really enjoys monsters. Tome of Beast. It's like recognized a lot by the community. It's a gigantic monster manual that has like a lot of variety. I believe there might be like a plant undead in there. There's like really cool enemies created by a lot of people. That like a lot of love went to them. Like every creature has art. It's just beautiful. Um, and in that book, there's actually several types of goals, and it actually is like a society of goals. There's like an
Huh.
emperor, and there's like workers, soldiers.
Just
There's like
out there vibing?
yeah. I mean, they're obviously kind of like they're similar, to, I guess, to like devils, and that they're like, I guess, a lawful evil kind of like
Mm-hmm.
society. It's like all about their own stuff. But it's like a monarchy with like the emperor being at the top. I don't know fully about the setting, but it's a pretty interesting thing to think about. Like when you think about ghoul, all you think about is like, oh yeah, they're in the graveyard eating a body.
Mm.
Delicious.
Mm.
Ooh, while we
I'm trying to kill you. Mm.
sorry, am I playing Ocarina of Time from the Legend of Zerld? Um,
The
it's
fuck did you just say to me?
I act as
What
if
the
you didn't
fuck did you
act
just say to me, Jurian Jibo?
act as if act as if a minute ago you didn't talk about making a dick in a waveform. Um,
That's sophisticated.
listen here. Only the wow, jeez, only the elite over here. But yeah, just I would love to explore that setting more for real. Like I glanced at it because I was like, I'm not going to use that for now because where am I going to put a goal city in Meteor's Heart? Except for literally anywhere.
You nuked two of the cool cities.
Only one and a half. The city's still alive. Listen here. Just I don't. I'm not a wreck in terms of DM. What do you mean?
You literally blew up the two big cities with a fire goddess that has now been rampaging through the continent.
this whole
You could put a cool
podca-
city like more to the west that hasn't been scorched.
There is. Also, this whole podcast actually has been an intervention for me as a DM. I'll just put the Ghoul City right there. I'll just make them go like, we're vibing here.
You can
we're
make it in
chilling.
hell. We're in hell.
Yeah. I mean, there is a big city in hell. You just went in it.
Yeah.
And it had to promptly flee.
We got chased out.
Yeah, and then saved by an art devil. How does that feel?
I'm vibing. I'm not sure how the others feel. I don't know. We're in the middle of hell, and our cleric just got like plot scooped.
Yoinked.
Yeah, because she has like a surgery, and she's gonna need a few months to recover.
Yeah, so we had to.
So we had to like take her out of the game. So her god said, "Hey, you've actually done some fucked up shit, and I'm the god of justice. You're having a trial, and like, do not be afraid, ass angels show up with their like 14,000 eyes, like the fetus of a baby on 15,000 wings show up, and they're just like, we're taking you to be judged by your god." While we're in the middle of hell, and then suddenly, after we realize that and that's taken away, all of us look at each other and go, we don't have Revivify anymore.
Well, right. Well, at least I'm sure someone has animated that.
It's close enough.
I mean, hey, next time you revive, you'll be just a CR1 skeleton. Spooky, scary skeletons. I hope that's the somatic component of that ritual. It's just blasting the spooky, scary skeleton. That'll be my sci-fi campaign. Every time you have to do that song, it's like, we have to do this old ritualistic song. And then just spooky, scary skeleton starts playing.
Yeah, you just start singing that ritual and you just start pissing bone marrow.
Oh, God. You know what? I will call this episode just... What if I call this episode Dead Babies? Dead Babies and Bone Marrow. And then we get no views.
Yeah. Dead god babies, pissing bone marrow. I have an idea for a campaign setting. Just all bad things.
Listen here, to anyone who clapped at the beginning of this episode,
what mistakes you've made, you dumb son of a bitch.
You can never take it away. Even if you quit, that video is in your watch history.
You can clear your watch history.
No, don't delete it. I know you can, but don't. Too late. You can't go back. You already
clapped. You've endorsed us now. You've signed the pact you didn't know.
And now when you die, we'll animate dead you. we'll go to your door and be like, well, time to become... I hope you were good in your life, because who knows what CR you'll be.
Wait, does that actually have something to do with it?
No. Well, No, I believe CR is just like... Well, I mean, kind of, yeah.
What mandates how powerful an undead is when you revive it?
I believe that's the equivalent of like how powerful you were in like your sin and everything. For example, you must have been pretty like strong. Like a banshee, for example, is a pretty strong enemy. I mean, depends on which version you use, but the 5e is weak compared to the 3.5. Because in 3.5, if you fail, you die. Yeah. In 5e, you just get unconscious. But basically, I guess it's how what you did determines what kind of undead you are. And then the rules set just says what your CR is.
Okay.
But in terms of like vampires,
so
vampires
I was wondering if it's just like, oh yeah, if I'm like I as a player have like a level 14 character and then I die and then I get revived. Like, am I just revived as like default undead, or am I revived in the fact that I'm a powerful son of a bitch?
Animate dead? Like CR1 zombie. Because it specifies it in the casting. But if you were like a really evil mofo, then maybe you'll get revived. Like, I don't know, maybe you'll be a quell.
Do they have to be evil?
All undead are evil.
Oh yeah, we went over that earlier.
I believe. If I will look it up. What are the facts?
This podcast is just a test in my short-term memory loss.
This podcast is just a showcase of how I know nothing, but the only reason I use Homebrew is because I know nothing about the real thing. But yeah, just
Damn, you said the quiet part out loud. What have you done?
well, oops. To everyone in the back, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I hope it's interesting.
One last thing I want to
Yeah.
talk about before we go, because we mentioned it earlier, like how being undead and undeath can affect literally actually anything. You mentioned the death tyrants.
Yes.
There's another type of undead beholder. There's
Please
the
enlighten me.
blood kiss beholder.
Is that the one with like a bunch of tentacles?
Yeah, it has the
Yes.
tentacles that suck the blood out of you.
Yes, I love this one. I use it actually in the campaign. I just called it something different, but I love it.
Yeah,
Go
no,
on.
it's really cool. I love that, like, well, they're just really cool. It's the fact that it's just like, it's a vampire beholder. How do you get cooler than that?
I don't remember how they're born. Because all beholders are like all beholder and like side beholders. I believe they're like born of like, aren't they born from like the fear of death of a beholder or something?
Yeah, like a beholder, because whenever a beholder dreams, it just becomes real. So they just come into existence when another beholder thinks of another beholder.
Oh wow.
Okay, so there are two types. There's the Death's Kiss beholder and the Blood Kiss beholder.
Death
the
Kiss is the one I used.
Yeah, the Blood Kiss beholder only shows up in 4th edition. And it's
God
like a
damn it.
full-on vampire beholder. But the Death Kiss is like a beholder's like dream. If it like dreams of like hemorrhaging blood, then the Death Kiss shows up.
It's so. God, beholders are wild. You could create a whole campaign sitting on the presence of like beholders.
Yeah.
I would make a whole
There's a
setting where like,
reason
the
they're on all
whole
the
goal is
books.
to kill like 7 different beholders. And like all
That'd
have
be-
all of
that'd
them be like
actually
in different places.
metal as hell. Well, the thing is, because beholders are terrified of other beholders, you could have a campaign setting where they're like investigating like some sort of bullshit, and then they find out that like there's a beholder, and they find out, oh shit, there's another one, and another one, and there's a beholder war that happens.
How cool would it be if there's like a death tyrant that revives, and then there's 2 beholders that are obviously kind of like rivals and enemies because they hate each other, but they're
All
like,
beholders hate each other.
well, damn it, we have to get together to kill this death tyrant.
Yeah, the way it works is it'll be
a
a death tyrant, a beholder, and like 3 aboleths.
You've just made the most chaotic bullshit I've ever heard. Why don't you add like several
Is there
Medusas?
an undead aboleth? Is that a thing?
Yes. Oh, I mean, okay.
Wait.
It's Homebrew in the Tome of Beasts.
Oh my gosh, really?
The first enemy. You know what? If you give me the slightest second, I will absolutely inform you what the name is. I don't know if you'll be able to find it online. So basically, the name of this creature is.
I found one.
It's called a Nihilith.
Yeah, I see it right here. Yeah, I see it.
Yes. Well, obviously, it's a homebrew thing, but I mean, we deal in homebrew here.
Holy shit.
We listen here. Like Siths, we deal in absolutes, and we also deal in homebrew.
I hate you.
Hey, remember when Jedis homebrewed themselves electrical abilities, and the DM was like, "Hey, no, if you want to do a homebrew, do your own campaign." Then Jedis were like, "Well, we're Siths now."
That is the worst analogy I've heard in my life. Congratulations.
I've ruined Star Wars. Listen, this podcast is ending now. I'm receiving a call by George Lucas. I have to answer, and I see the snipers outside.
You should actually cut it there, because that's at 30 minutes.
Yep.
We could. Do you want to?
Absolutely.
Okay. We didn't even get to talk about the aboleth. You just leave him hanging on that? You just briefly talk about it, and then you just ruin it? Wow, you're a piece of shit, aren't you?
It's like, oh yeah, they're pretty cool.
Oh no, I haven't stopped recording. This is going in the podcast.
Oh, absolutely. I'm still recording too.
Yeah.
Nihilith are cool. Buy the Tome of Beast.
Yeah.
I'm not sponsored or paid for this. Just do it.
You're a garbage person.
I sure am.